Deloitte presents the pulse of Indian family businesses in association with CNBC-TV18.
Hello and welcome to Deloitte presents the pulse of Indian family businesses in association with CNBC-TV18. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and today we bring to you a conversation with business leaders and experts on the legacy and future of Indian family enterprises. Key discussion points include the reasons for the remarkable resilience shown by family-owned enterprises, their unique competitive advantages, challenges that could stall their success, and the way forward for family businesses in a rapidly changing world. Now, providing the base for all these talking points is a report launched by Deloitte titled Generation Strong. Let me begin by first introducing our guests. We have with us two business superstars, Deepali Goenka, CEO and MD at Welspun Living, and Rishabh Mariwala, founder and managing partner at Sharrp Ventures. And joining them to share their insights are two thought leaders, Sekar, who leads the Deloitte Private practice for Deloitte India, and Parthiv Kamdar, partner and family enterprise leader at Deloitte India. Ladies and gentlemen, great to have you with us and looking forward to, well, taking a lot of things in this checklist of questions that I have for you. Sekar, we'll start with you. First, talk about the report and the timing of the release of this report. And then let's build on that to understand the resilience factor that family-owned enterprises have shown, especially during the pandemic. I read the report. It cites the pandemic as a period where we saw a lot of resilience and, of course, healthier balance sheets translate to higher stock prices. So first, the base of the report and then the meat of the report.
Deloitte globally is very strong on the family enterprises and the way the family enterprises are working, and then the way the family enterprises have recovered during the COVID and the post-COVID. Deloitte Global launched a couple of reports on that side. On the backdrop of the global reports, India did launch on the report. A detailed research was done, and basis that this report was launched. Now, coming to a first point on the resilience, the report details about the resilience part, but let me just give the thought process around the resilience based on our experience. As you know, the Indian family business has got a strong Indian family culture. And most of you admit with me that Indian family culture has got a lot of resilience per se. The family culture is rooted with a deep sense of resilience and deep sense of what I call the agility.
All right.
Now, when we combine the resilience and the agility, during the period of COVID, that was most important for success of any family businesses. The family businesses thrived and succeeded on the growth story. Now, two important reasons that helped the agility and the resilience was, number one, the connect with the leaders as well as the employees. And one of the important factors that Indian family business was very strong on that was connect with the business leaders and the CXOs and the employees. And Indian family business, as I said, has got a strong culture. That resilience culture and the connect got integrated with the business. With the result, the decision making during the COVID was little bit flat and was more easier. Leave aside the technology side, which helped all the businesses.
The decision structures are streamlined in a family-owned enterprise.
And one more important aspect, the accessibility to the family capital and the social capital was very strong for the family businesses. Now, what more you need to make success during the COVID and during the crisis time? One, strong culture, strong legacy, strong connect with the key people in the organization who can be an ambassadors for the family businesses, and fourth, access to the strong capital, both social and family capital. All these four factors created the success story for the Indian family business.
All right. Let me take some cues from what you've said, Sekar, and let me bring in Deepali to share the Welspun lesson in excellence. Two keywords which Sekar has mentioned, which is resilience and agility. So take us through Welspun's experience of leveraging these traits to navigate economic challenges and, of course, expanding its footprint globally.
So along with what Sekar spoke about was resilience and agility, I'll also talk about ownership and accountability and a sense of pride as an organization and as a family business. And I think that really goes a long way for us. You know, even when you spoke about COVID and when Sekar spoke about COVID, I think the important thing was none of our people would go hungry. None of our people, we kept them safe. We kept them, really, I mean, all the treatments were given. We set up a hospital for them in Anjar, in our factory and facilities, took care of them. And that's what comes in with a family business. Resilience, I mean, I remember the time of 2016 when Egyptian cotton hit. I took it on myself and we went in front of the customers ourselves. So, when the toughest times come in, it's the family owners and the business owners who take on the accountability and go and sit in front of, the people that is needed. And I think that's where it comes in from. I can tell you there's a sense of pride. There's a sense of what we can do in the terms of even taking the communities together, how we can make that impact, in short, actually.
Parthiv, let me bring you in to talk more about the challenges which family-owned enterprises face. And the report mentions that intergenerational conflicts and emotional decision-making often impede growth. So, in the context of these challenges which the report highlights, what governance models or frameworks can help family enterprises mitigate these challenges?
Sure. So a couple of points to take from what Deepali and Sekar mentioned. We spoke about culture, we spoke about ownership, and we spoke about pride. All these comes together, and what we look at is something like a family constitution. It's like having decision at your organization is something, how do you bring it back at your home? Because when you talk about intergenerational, the study highlights that, out of every 3 families, there's only 1 family that has actually done a successful next generation to be brought in. What goes behind that? Number 1 is the legacy. Number 2, what is your family constitution and governing council? Number 3, how early you plan your succession and you get in your next generation, openly discuss at the dinner table with regards to what are the issues, how we can navigate that. And more importantly, is accepting the new vision which is brought in by the next generation, because they are the next in kin for you to take the legacy to the next level. So I would have to summarize it: a good family constitution, open conversations, and leaving behind the legacy that you want to create, and eliminating all other nuances and factors outside of this.
Well, an open conversation always helps in life or in business. Rishabh, let me get you in for your perspective on collaborations, because collaborations with startups is reshaping the family business model. So in terms of long-term value creation, both for the family-owned enterprise and for the startups that it invests with, it works with, what's your experience been at Sharrp Ventures?
No, definitely. I think, we have Marico on one side and we have Sharrp Ventures on the other, and Sharrp Ventures is our family office. But I think on one end, the governance is very clear between the two. So when Marico goes out and invests, it does it with its management taking those calls. When I invest, I do it with my team without the interference of Marico. So from both perspectives, I think, it's very clear in terms of who's doing what. And I think that they're very clear sort of lines of decision making. And if I were to speak more from a owner perspective with respect to Marico as a board member, I think what they've managed to do really well is create a great win-win with the founders that they've invested in, and where they've gone into sort of path to acquisition, and where it's been acquisition accretive, as well as leaving enough on the table for the founders, along with sort of having the culture intact. So once the acquisition actually takes place, culturally, I think that integration is critical. And if that cultural integration doesn't happen, and it becomes too sort of becomes into a large sort of company thinking, then those things can fail easily.
All right. Sekar, let me tie up some loose ends of this conversation before we take a break, because the report also emphasizes the role of collaboration with startups as a key growth strategy. So in your opinion, how can family enterprises effectively use these collaborations as a means to modernize themselves and evolve in this rapidly, changing business landscape?
Startups presents a great opportunity to connect the legacy and the intellect, what I would call the young minds. It presents a great opportunity for a well-established organizations. Now, if you go to the reasons, I will divide the reasons in the report also, and the summary of that I put it in the 3 or 4 reasons. Of late, we can see a significant growth of family offices. The growth of the family offices is one important reason for the collaboration. Now, family offices are investing in the startups for account of 3 reasons. Number 1, business, financial, and social. Why business is coming up? You go back to 1970s and 80s and before the advent of technology, you would have been seeing a lot of manufacturing companies and the well-established entrepreneurs having a tie-up with some of the supplier of ancillary parts or components or anybody and going for a backward integration. Today, technology has integrated every aspect of an organization. Therefore, it is important that I need to identify a good technology partner who can support me. So my business interest comes in. Social interest. I can tell you, every entrepreneur today wanted to encourage the young talent, nurture them, preserve the talent and protect the talent. And that is what most of the entrepreneurs, they take it as a social responsibility beyond the business responsibility. And third, the financial reasons. Family offices also do invest, and startups gives a good advantage from them. So taking account these 3 aspects, and above all, as I said, when we talk to next generation people, the mind, what you get, the refreshing thoughts, what you get is completely different. And it gives a good opportunity for us to get associated.
Time for a short break here on Deloitte Presents The Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18.
Deloitte presents The Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18. Deloitte presents The Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back to Deloitte Presents The Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18. In the previous segment, we looked at how family-owned businesses have overcome an uncertain economic climate and transforming themselves to becoming more collaborative. All right, let's kick off this segment with some thoughts from you, Parthiv, because we are truly in the era of digital transformation. Now, the question is, what role do you see technology playing in enhancing operational efficiency and driving innovation for family-owned businesses? Because the idea is we've always worked this way, might come in the way of, well, working for the future. So how do you achieve that?
So a couple of things. Everybody is talking technology. Everybody has seen technology playing a very key role in COVID-19 and the resilience, etc., that we spoke in the earlier segment. And taking a cue where Sekar left on, startups and the young minds coming together, I think technology plays a very big role, and how family offices are converging themselves and adapting to technology is far more faster as it was if we were to look at a couple of years back pre-COVID era. 3-4 areas that they're looking at. One, bringing technology from a perspective of, operationalizing, routining the mundane jobs, etc. The second thing is Industry 4.0, where it is changing the way the factories, etc., are, smart, automated, etc., completely. And lastly, investing into newer technologies, both from a perspective to understand that what are those new areas where innovation is playing a role and how that can blend with the family office and the family business that is being run. So, for example, you look at, the family offices currently are investing in new age startups, as they call it, or new technologies. The idea is to not only support the young minds, but also bring that learning back into your own business and see from where we can learn and adapt far more quickly. And agility again comes in over here to transform our own organization.
All right, Rishabh, let me bring you in as a next generation leader. How do you approach this balance, the modernizing of governance structures with the legacy and ethos of family values which have defined your enterprise? How do you maintain the balance?
You're right, it is a double-edged sword. I think the beauty in India, compared to globally, a lot of the startups globally, they will, everything is to do with lower labor cost, some of the technologies, right? In India, labor, of course, is relatively cheaper compared to our Western counterparts. So from that perspective, we're still giving corporates will still be giving employment, and that's not top of mind unless there's a strong cost cutting that's required, where technology is able to replace the human labor, right? But in terms of efficiencies, I think that there's across the board, right? As Marico, it's a consumer goods organization, so across supply chain or sales or R&D or everything and anything in every department, I think building in efficiencies, and as I think Parthiv was saying, I think just building ease of getting things done through tech, making it faster and efficient. I think that's the name of the game, and you can see it across everything from, as simple as like the legalization, or even simple things like even a POSH, which is so critical and so important, diversity and inclusion, which is so critical, right? The analytics that you have around sustainability and your footprint with sustainability, and where you're spending your CSR spends and how you're accounting for that. The technology is actually helping in leaps and bounds in terms of just bringing more transparency, I think accountability and efficiency to the organizations.
All right, Deepali, let me bring you in, because every leader would love a win-win situation, but this is a tightrope walk. The demands of the modern businesses are many. So in your experience, how have you balanced modernizing governance structures with the values that the Welspun family stands for?
So when you talk about textiles, you know how traditional, textiles is. But I think you complement it with technology. Like when you talk about Industry 4.0, that complements, like for example, we have towel counting where we have Industry 4.0 installed, and which actually won the NASSCOM, by the way. Here it actually gets over the human fatigue and gives you far more efficiency. You get a visibility on Industry 4.0 far better. Technology actually complements far better as well. So I think, for me, and I think at Welspun, the important aspect is get the expertise of textiles complemented with technology and Industry 4.0, and it gives you a very different perspective. The other aspect is sustainability. And I think sustainability, again, is about quantifying what you do. So, the whole ESG bit, how you quantify the elements that contribute to the ESG. When you talk about governance as well, how do you actually install technology to measure that whole governance? Because I think when you talk about family businesses where you've had the traditions, you've had the agility and the resilience, how you complement to get the governance on, so it creates the kind of a sustainable business is very, very key. And that's where it complements it. When you talk about like how we at Anjar, for example, don't use a drop of fresh water in the entire ecosystem, green energy that we're talking about, I think quantifying that technology is very, very key. Getting the proficiency of, creating an enabling center which measures, the whole quantification of technology efficiencies can be in the terms of governance, I think adds on to create a far better, competitive textile ecosystem. Last but not the least is the consumer by the end of it. How do you understand that consumer? How do you reach out to that consumer about what needs to be created as the next towel or the next sheet, or what the consumer is looking at as a smart room? I think, and a smart product or a smart bedding, that comes in with technology as well.
You're looking at the outcome, but let's dig deeper into the challenges which are presented in the report. Sekar, bringing you in, succession planning and family constitutions. These are highlighted as critical for business continuity. Now, based on the report's findings, what best practices are India's family enterprises adopting, and where do they face the challenges?
Why we brought that as a challenge is that if the family business has to grow beyond one generation, it cannot start when one generation has to grow beyond one generations. And it is just not an India phenomenon. Let me be making it very clear. It's a global phenomenon. Any global family enterprises need to grow beyond one generation, means they need to have a strong succession planning, both at a family level and at the business leadership level. And when the families are grown big, what happens? It is natural for the families to have a family constitution to make sure that there is a strong line of division between the family and the businesses. First one. Second one is that when the family is growing big, every family would like to have a say in the organization matter and the business matter. And business also need to grow, and therefore the business have its own leaders. While family constitution will not talk about the business, but it is important that the family constitution and the business should get integrated so that both runs on parallel basis and making sure that organization is growing beyond one generation. Now, we say challenge only for one reason. Fortunately, based on our experience, and I can tell you very confidently, lot more Indian family enterprises are addressing this and they're seized of this problem. And today, if you ask any Indian family enterprises, they are addressing this matter very seriously. And it's just not India, at Asia Pacific level too. Because it's not that India, as though India is a home to family enterprises. Like India, we have China and Singapore where they are also having seized of this problem. But this problem, what I would call, is being addressed, and it should get addressed in a more way so that we can see more Welspuns and more Maricos in the global world. That is what we want to see.
Look forward to those times. Before we wrap up, let's talk money, Parthiv. The importance of external capital is growing in today's world, but one of the unique competitive advantages of family-owned enterprises is that they haven't had to look far when it comes to capital. Now, how do they walk this tightrope, especially when it comes to maintaining control and growth while listening to the voices of your investors?
So, two things over here. Family business have always managed to get that the funds that are required and build. Whenever you're looking at a capital, the first question is to ask yourself, is the need of the capital today? That's why I'm going. Or there is no need today for a capital, but I'm taking this from a growth perspective.
So the best time to raise capital is when you don't need it.
When you don't need it. Because that's when the confusion comes in to say that what am I going to deploy it for? And at the same point of time, two things I would bucket it, tangible and intangible again. Tangible, what is the cost? What is the exit? What is the deployment? And what is the value that it is going to add to me? Intangibles, I would say that first, does that investor, strategic or private equity or a VC, is coming in from a perspective, from a financial, and at the same point of time, does it gel well with my objectives, my legacy, and my culture, and my value systems? That is the first intangible that I would look at it. The second thing is, at the same point of time, what is the complements that this investment is going to come and give me? In an intangible manner, to say that, do I get an access to additional new customers, new geographies, and also what kind of investments they have made, which can I learn from, and they bring in as a value add when it has to come to deliver for that money that has been deployed and grow in value from both perspectives. So this is how I would like to summarize on the capital side of it.
On that note, it's time to wrap up our talk titled Deloitte Presents the Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18. I'd like to thank our business and thought leaders for sharing their insights and perspectives on this topic. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.
Deloitte presents the Pulse of Indian Family Businesses in association with CNBC-TV18.